Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Andrew Turner, founder and host of the G&T Sessions podcast. And today we have Devon Krantz. How are you, Devon?
Hey, Andrew. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for having me on your podcast today. Really looking forward to it.
Absolute pleasure. And whereabouts are you joining from today? Or whereabouts are you located today?
I am dialing in from Cape Town, South Africa. It's actually beautiful here today, nice and sunny.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, from London to South Africa, Cape Town, yeah, that's a lovely place. Tabletop Mountain, is it Tabletop Mountain?
Yeah.
I think you call it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
London to South Africa, all the places in between. We've been hopping around for a few years, so keeping busy.
Yeah, I know you're a bit of a jet setter, but we'll get onto that. Anyway, so I met Devon many years ago on a cold Monday evening in London. I think it was about 5 years ago when she was kind of scooting around London, working on this. Well, actually, I suppose supporting this very now infamous group. I suppose it's like a meetup group, I suppose, isn't it, in London, which actually still going strong. And you said before we came on the show, it's actually getting stronger. Crypto
Yeah.
Mondays.
Crypto Mondays, it's doing super well actually. When I lived in London, I was one of the co-organizers of the group there with Caitlin and Oleg and Larry. Really great team of people, and they're doing quite a bit actually to bring quite good speakers and panels and subjects into London. And I think they're actually backed by, or like they partnered with Google. I don't know what the right words are that they're using for that agreement. But yeah, they've been growing and doing great things. And Crypto Mondays is part of this huge global organization. There's actually one that's just been started up in Cape Town now as well, Crypto Mondays Cape Town. I spoke at it last month. Yeah.
You're not running that one then. You're not kind of.
No, I'm not running that one. It's actually run by a guy called Taras, and we actually sponsored it though last month as well. So we've opened a new faction of the company called Linum or Audit Labs, where we do smart contract auditing, and we sponsored it last month. But yeah, it's a great thing to be involved in, just in terms of like bringing the community together and education in general around the Web3 space.
Mm. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I suppose as we were talking about before, it's like this thing where what the reason why I wanted to get you on the show to kind of, I suppose, share your journey and what you've been working on is because now this topics that you cover and you kind of sleep and work and digest and consume and share every day of your life is now, that you kind of went all in on it many years ago, and now suddenly people are now becoming a lot more aware of what this phenomenon is. Which is kind of, and even as I explained my story, it's like 5-6 years ago, it's like it's incredible how the attitude to certain things switches.
Yeah.
Where you feel like you're an outcast a number of years ago, and then suddenly you're kind of like in this new club, this new trendy club. I mean, have you noticed that as well? Have you been bemused by the kind of the change in attitude towards some of the stuff that you're working on?
Yeah, I think it's been really interesting to see the growth over the past couple of years. I mean, I have been in the space now for nearly 10 years. I used to work at a bank in a very like normal type of position. When I told my parents I was leaving that very stable, very comfortable, very normal job to start my own company in Web3, they were like, absolutely not, don't do that. It's an imaginary industry. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So kind of, I guess, like, kind of, I guess, for that.
You put on the naughty step then after that, were you?
But yeah, no, exactly. It took a lot of convincing and it actually took about like 2 or 3 years of my company running before they accepted it as a real company. And I think even now they're like, oh, okay, Web3 is real. I'm like, yeah, it is. So that was even just within my own household. And when we're talking about industry wide as well, I think I went to my first Web3 conference in 2017 in Paris. There were about 800 people there. And there was about like 17 women at the conference out of all of those people there as well. So, I mean, all women got together and we had dinner together that night. But we're also seeing like now, a little bit later, like there's a lot more inclusion coming into the spaces. And these conferences, instead of like 800 people, there tens of thousands of people are coming out to these type of conferences. So like we're seeing this growth all over the world. If you look at some of the larger conferences like DevConnect, DevCon, any of these global events, like it is attracting huge amounts of people. The industry adoption is massive as well. Like we're seeing not just like, I guess, like the lunatic fringe anymore, like our early adopters shilling their money and getting very invested in like random crap. We're starting to actually see like institutional adopters.
Don't you call them pioneers rather than lunatics?
When it was a talk by Andreas Antonopoulos in about 2017, he called us the lunatic fringe. He said like everything in Web3 was kind of like strapping a rocket ship to a launcher, like so much power behind so little structure. But I feel like that's definitely changed now.
I mean, do you think it's changed? Do you think it's changed for the kind of the better? Because I observe that suddenly there's been, I don't know if you call it a gold rush or an institution rush. It's like suddenly everybody, I won't name the bank, but I was in Switzerland, what would it be, a few months ago. And literally, went to a private bank, had a conversation with them, and they were offering, some very interesting products, which you would not associate with that kind of conversation. And they obviously, Switzerland is a special place in the first place, but you wouldn't think. It's quite interesting how that evolution has happened or that revolution has happened. And then suddenly, if you look at what's happened with, I suppose, BTC and Bitcoin over the last period of time, it just seems to be, well, it's just gone crazy, hasn't it? I mean, it's just gone absolutely insane about what's happened in the last, 18 months. And obviously, and I know you said don't mention today because it's a different day today, but obviously tomorrow will be hopefully better.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the day-to-day charts, it's always a roller coaster. But if you look at the long-term patterns and progressions, it's very steadily gaining larger institutional adoption. Especially if you look at some of the larger players and like people to look into the space. I mean, BlackRock, for example, if you start looking at regulation, all that stuff. You mentioned Switzerland, so I mean, our company is actually based in Switzerland, and when we first entered the market there. Or when we first started setting up our company there, our canton was so supportive of what we were building. We were the first Web3 company in our canton. So we weren't actually based in Zug, where all other crypto companies are.
Yeah, I thought you were in Zug, but
yeah, no, we're actually based in like this small little medieval town called Schaffhausen. They're great. My co-founder was from there, so we're like, okay, let's just set up there. Switzerland's been really pioneering quite a lot of, I think, like the regulatory forefront of Web3. Instead of adapting or like creating new laws for it specifically, they've been adapting old laws to include it. So like that progression and that, I guess, like innovation is easier to accelerate in that kind of an environment. But now what we're seeing as well is, in addition to Switzerland, Dubai is actually popping up as quite a strong contender. Like all of their retailers and hotels and everything now use with crypto. Their laws are very crypto friendly. They got that 0% crypto tax in specific regions, depending on what you're up to. But it's become also like a very favorable environment. So I think like we're starting to see more and more countries adopt it and adapt to it as well.
I mean, what I found was, I think it's just this thing about this continuum of, it's literally like the kind of the crossing the chasm, isn't it? It's the kind of the thing where you've got those early pioneers who are just pushing out. I suppose we've observed that it's not that long ago. You mentioned 2017, 2018. It's not that long ago. It's not like decades ago. And yet it seems to be picking up more and more speed now.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I didn't do at the beginning was, I suppose, for people that don't know the legend Devon Krantz, because I know you've been involved. Well, no. You're involved in crypto monies, but obviously you're involved in helping with the Ethereum group as well, weren't you? With that meetup group as well for a number of years.
Yeah, I've been running Ethereum meetup since about 2016, actually. In South Africa, we actually grew to 10 different African countries as well. I think at some point we had about 15,000 members in our community.
Wow.
And then we passed it on to the Consensus Biddle Network. So I haven't kept too much of an eye on what the other groups are, but I still run the ones in Cape Town and Johannesburg, which are doing phenomenally, actually. So it's great to see still like that interest in those type of community and ecosystem initiatives.
Yeah, I remember. I think we talked about this on the previous discussion. Was I met Vitalik in Imperial College.
That's cool.
And it was actually a time when he was actually just talking about Ethereum 2.0, and he come over from Canada, I think it was, and literally he had to pay the organizers in ETH to get into the meetup group. I didn't have any, so they just let me in because I got some meetup groups in London anyway. I just schmoozed my way in. We got into this room, and luckily it was absolutely jam packed. It was like, it was like standing room only like this. And because of the work that I was doing at the time, I knew some people that obviously Vitalik knew, so I went up to him and had a chat with him. He definitely is a bit socially awkward. He kind of obviously he feels a bit like that. But my God, when he was on stage, I have never seen anybody command the room like he does.
Yeah.
He went through it all, and then he was doing Q&A, And I don't know if you've seen him do a Q&A before, but people were saying, okay, I want this question. He goes, that's not a very good question. Next. he was just completely brutal. Please ask better questions, I think the phrase would be.
No, I think he's a brilliant mind. We got him down to Cape Town in 2019 for our East Cape Town hackathon that we did. So he actually came all the way to be a judge and a speaker for us here. So
Wow.
it was incredible to actually meet him back then. I think I met him again at East London at some point when I was living there. But yeah, he's definitely one of those like bigger brain type people where he like if something doesn't interest him, not his time. I think during the actual judging at East Cape Town, he was busy judging, and at some point he just stands up and runs out of the venue. And we're like, what on earth is going on? And then the next day he'd released a new white paper on some like I don't know, it was prediction markets or something, and we were all just like, what on earth? But yeah,
What
definitely
you mean? Left the event and written the white paper?
wrote an entire white paper, was released the next day, and we were like, oh yeah,
Like you do.
like you do.
No. I mean, I think you need these people like that to break the mold, don't you? To kind of to think it from a completely different angle and challenge the assumptions. He's been, and with him and Joe Lubin, who's a slightly different character to Vitalik, but obviously an interesting combination to get a consensus to where it was and Ethereum where it was.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, like Vitalik's now, like how he's kind of like guiding the industry as well. Like most of the things that he's saying and bringing about, like right now he's putting quite a heavy focus on privacy, which is changing actually even like the core infrastructure of Ethereum as a whole, like moving away from EVM into, I think there's a new model coming up called Risk, which is much more privacy centric. And so like you're seeing a lot more like anything that Vitalik says still has quite a lot of sway in the industry, which is interesting to see, but I feel like he's doing it in the right way, like leading from a place of, I guess like knowledge and experience rather than want or need greed.
Well, I think the people, in my experience, people that are kind of at genius technical level, they want the purest result, don't they? They want to actually do it for the good of the actual application of that technology and that thought.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's how you balance that with the commercialization of it, and also how you to your point, you protect people and look after people who get involved in that ecosystem. So so one of the things I was going to ask you about was about Linum Labs. Was what is it? What's going on in what's keeping you awake at night? What's going on? Are you your mission is to, I presume, help people understand the benefits and create capabilities and use cases around Web3 and blockchain? Is that the kind of the mission with what you're trying to do?
Yeah, so I mean, like Linum has actually been around for just over 9 years now, which is insane for I think any Web3 company, because we've been through it, we've done the roller coaster, we've kind of like strapped in there for all of the bear markets, we've survived them. Like bull markets are great, but we've actually managed to stay relevant and stay alive all this time because our business model is always adapted to what the ecosystem and the industry needs. So we started with education and consulting, kind of like training and that kind of stuff. When we moved in, we're like, actually, we want to build cool products. So we started hiring our own developers, training our own developers, building products for other people. In 2019, we shut down all of our operations to build a specific product called Molecule.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So Molecule, yeah, exactly. So Molecule is actually now split off to its own entity. They're based in Dubai. They're, I think, like $100 million valuation kind of company.
Wow.
Run by my co-founder Paul. They've recently actually today launched one of their new AI agents called Aubrey. So yeah, bioprotocol, all of those kind of things stemmed out of Molecule. I think it's doing absolutely phenomenally. If you haven't like taken a deep dive into the decentralized science space, highly recommend you do. It's super interesting. But yeah, Linum as a model today, what we're kind of doing is more of software development agency. So we build cool products for incredible clients all across the world. So we've worked on NFT marketplaces, DAOs, DeFi has been quite a big upcoming topic and trend. RWA, so real world assets, also trending quite a lot. In the past few months, we've also launched our own smart contract auditing department, so Audit Labs, and a venture studio. So we're also building our own internal products now within Linum, which has been, I think, my favorite part of it, because I'm really enjoying, I guess, like taking a deep dive into more of the fringe use cases and more of the technical aspects of kind of what we're building. So it's like our business model has changed a lot. We've built a lot of different things, worked with a variety of different people and projects, and I think that's kind of given us the experience and I guess like driven my interest in the projects more than anything and what we're doing.
Yeah, it's a bit like it sounds like a bit like a sense and respond strategy. You sense what's going on in the market and you respond and you evolve as a. You also remember me of Bruce Lee, the famous martial artist. It's like be water. So like you're kind of flowing with the evolution of the industry.
Exactly, you got to stay relevant, and like how we're positioned now, like we are prime position for getting positive signals and what will be trending next, you know. So it's quite cool to kind of pick those up and then try and stay ahead of them. It keeps us on our toes all the time, never a dull moment. Yeah, so it's been a really interesting wild ride.
And so in terms of that you mentioned about venture studio, so is that actually what working with external like founders to help them them productionize or create software products or capabilities in Web3 and blockchain? Is that how you act as like the incubator for that, or is that how it works?
So for now, yes, the kind of like the incubator side, but it's mainly with our own internal products and ideas. So like when our team, like most of it's stemming out of our own internal needs. So for example, like our team, we realized for agency, we really needed something to help us with our ticketing. So we built out our own AI ticketing platform. Our team got really interested in
Forget
privacy
forget
and
forget
dark pools.
forget. No, we don't need you. Bye.
Yeah, we built it. Don't worry. Basically, any of our pain points that we were facing in our company, we were like, well, how can we fix this? And if we have a problem with it, surely other people will too.
Mm,
And yeah, one of the big ones that we were facing as well was like, well, privacy on the blockchain. We don't want our bank balance or anything like publicly just like billboarded out to everyone. So like, how can we start working on privacy use cases that our team is interested in? So now quite a bit of our time, like we'll have team members within. So like I'm leading up the venture studios as part of my team. So we have our agency part and our Audit Labs that's being headed up by our CEO Jade. And I'm
mm,
actually running with the venture studios with a couple of my developers, like just building fringe case stuff that we believe in, which has been interesting. So yeah, for now it's more mainly internal products. And then once
mm.
they're built and we have like a proof of concept, funding those and spinning them out independently.
Yeah, because I suppose one of the principles of blockchain is kind of like it's very transparent, isn't it? You know, so you've got that
Yeah.
kind of that transparency piece. So how does that fit with the privacy piece then that you're trying to work on? How does that fit together? Because I remember
Yeah.
sat in the office in London when I was working with that crypto wallet company many years
Hmm.
ago, and you could actually interrogate the holdings effectively or the transactions doing a command. Yeah, and it's like, wow. Is that because of the kind of more corporate institutional involvement? They want to then try and put a privacy layer in there, or is it the kind of the protocols that are kind of demanding that anyway as it evolves?
So I
A bit
mean,
of
you get
both.
like privacy preserving protocols. Like one of the ones that we're working with now is Miden, and they've actually just raised $25 million from companies like A16Z or from funds like
All
A16Z.
right,
So like that,
Andrews.
it's a hot topic and it's working quite a lot. And I think the main reason that privacy as a topic is trending is because it is needed for institutional adoption.
Mm,
What we're seeing right now, like massive companies, VCs, OTC desks, market makers, they don't want all of their transactions publicly broadcasted, right?
mm,
And then, because I mean, along with this, there comes the risks of MEV front running. I guess like you don't want any of those things really associated with kind of what you're building. So when we're talking about privacy in the sense of like an next iteration in Web3, it's not so much about secrecy, because I think that that's also quite often confused, but more around security.
right.
Because, yeah, exactly. So when we're talking about privacy, we're talking about security, we're talking about just making sure that our bases are covered. This doesn't mean illegal or like spicy or like unregulated. So, I mean, like a big part of what I think is going to become a topic is compliant privacy.
Mm.
So, intent matching, settling, and then also the option for a secure audit trail, which is where zero knowledge proofs come in quite a bit. Yeah, but I definitely see this being more and more of a topic. We're seeing more privacy preserving layers and topics being brought up. Like I mentioned, Ethereum is hopefully moving from EVM to the risk model where it's actually like privacy is built in, where we believe
Mm.
like privacy should be core infrastructure rather than a feature or an afterthought,
Mm.
because that's also how like we are going to get more adoption across the board. And I think that is the goal for a lot of products.
But but as we move into this kind of decentralized world, isn't that wasn't that kind of one of the premises of the blockchain, was to make it transparent and
Yeah.
not put layers of kind of opaqueness on top of it, because that's if you think about the centralized versus distributed model, that there's always been that narrative about, well, that's been one of the problems. It's very opaque.
Mm.
Is a danger then we morph the decentralized into a we don't you don't want to inherit all the, I'm not saying bad practices, but you don't want to inherit all the kind of the overhead of what you had before. You want to have a
Yeah,
new
no,
model.
definitely. I mean, we don't want to go back to kind of like that system where it's like you don't know what the hell is going on in your bank, right? So you still want to have that degree of control. But I think rather than transparency, what we're encouraging is still that trustlessness. So, like you can trust that this transaction is doing what you want it to, and you're being able to perform these actions that are still very much compliant and regulated and on par with whatever geographic base that you have. But you don't have to worry about other people kind of like seeing what you're up to most of the time. But this doesn't mean that they're private to the degree that they're completely intransparent. So, for example, you can still request an audit trail from a lot of these privacy preserving protocols. So, like you have the privacy, but it's still auditable to a degree.
Right.
Yeah, this is different. So, like, I mean, like we're seeing quite a bit of growth in this space now compared to like let's say a couple of years ago where it was Tornado Cash. Which I'm sure you're kind of like familiar with what happened there is like Tornado Cash released this privacy preserving piece of code, and it was actually the first ever piece of code to be sanctioned in the States, being like, if you use this, you're in trouble. But the developers of that, I think they were actually arrested, but I'm not sure if they were released now or not. But Tornado Cash, basically what it did in its simplest form is like you could send your crypto to it, it would scramble it up, send it to a gazillion other different addresses, and then send it to the address that you intended it to, making it virtually untraceable. So that I think was they were managed to like prove that it was being used for money laundering and stuff like that. So like ultimately when we're talking about privacy now and today we're trying to talk about like how we can make privacy to a degree similar to how we have it today. Like you don't want your bank balance broadcast on a screen, and that's kind of what we have now with crypto. Like anyone can, if they have your wallet address, public address, they can see how much is in your wallet and what you've been up to.
Yeah.
So we don't particularly want that moving forward.
Interesting.
Sorry, I just went on a whole little ramble there about privacy.
Well, no.
Yeah, exactly.
In the chain, then that's seen as a kind of a bit of a dent in that kind of approach, isn't it? It's a bit of a setback. You get that sanction, then people go, "Oh, don't touch it,"
Yeah,
and then you make progress again, I suppose. So
exactly. And I mean, it kind of like I think like set us back a little bit because everyone's like, "Oh, crypto is being used for dodgy shit," right? There was that as well. Like, I mean,
the dark web,
Bitcoin was used in the dark web and everything. But I mean, like a lot of the people that used Bitcoin or cryptos on the dark web, like way back when, are now still being caught whenever they KYC. So like the moment they move from crypto to fiat, you can still trace everything now back to way back when. So I mean, and then also when we think about it as well, like how much cash has been used for illicit activities, and like can you compare that to crypto, where the cash is basically untraceable? So yeah. But we're getting detracted, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will. I'm going to party.
What in terms of the future do you see? You know, if you look at the last 5-6 years, we've seen a tremendous amount of progress in the industry. I mean, I'm kind of like, I suppose I'm kind of in a. Some of the moves have been bemusing for me. Some of the things have been obvious. Some of the moves are, you know, I know some people have said that because of all the institutions now being involved in certain things, is it tainting the original premise of what was trying to be the democratization of this whole phenomenon? You know, there's always that debate about, you know, what good comes out of it from that point of view. But are you bullish on, you know, we're now in 2025, we've got 5 years to the World Economic Forum saying a certain phrase, which I'm not going to say on this podcast, but what's your kind of outlook in terms of Web3 and blockchain? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think I am incredibly biased, but I believe that it's still got a long way to go. I feel like we're still going to be building a lot of really, really cool products. And I think the more people that are hopping on board and the more disruption we're able to cause to traditional spaces, the more interesting it becomes as well. I mean, if you look at the type of people that are working in the Web3 space now, a lot of them are working, I'm hoping, towards like good use cases, like especially if we look at some of the DeFi use cases that we've been working on or that some of our partners have been working on. It's opening up the playing field to a lot more people than before. So I mean, even if we look at like financial inclusion, specifically in maybe like Africa, where previously people maybe that didn't have a registered address or didn't have specific documentation, they couldn't participate financially or like on a global scale at all. Like, so I mean, like investing, loaning, like all of these tools that are now available in Web3 with very minimal KYC actually is now being opened up to people that previously didn't have access. So like this type of democratization of access.
You mean like the non-banked or the unbanked or
Yeah,
not
the
the
unbanked or the
non-banked?
underbanked. Yeah,
Yeah, underbanked.
exactly. Yeah, now having like access to actually participate in this global economy is for me at least phenomenal. Like we're seeing use cases come out of Africa that blow my mind. We have people working on products and ideas that also like I'm incredibly inspired by. I can actually want to name one of them is like Koala Pay. So Koala Pay is a platform that uses crypto to aid relief funding in devastated areas. And I
Right.
think that is an epic use case of like what Web3 and this technology can be used for. So they have a whole bunch of like people on the ground in these areas actually helping people with this technology. And another big field that I mentioned earlier in the podcast as well is decentralized science. So we're seeing a lot more edge use cases of scientific funding now having access to the people that actually want to see those products or scientific innovations developed, and they can now. So we're seeing the world change
And is
piece
that
by
just a quick
piece.
question?
Yeah.
Is it that's being fund? So is that in that way people who actually have crypto assets actually are funding these projects or these initiatives through crypto growth? Is that how it's happening?
Yeah, so I mean, science as a whole, like it's quite complicated. I mean, that we actually based ourselves in Basel a couple of years ago to try and understand how the pharmaceutical space works. It's very slow. It's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of things that happen within it, and scientists usually actually really struggle to get their research funded. And a lot of the time, the people that need that research funded, if it's an unsexy cause or if it's something that's not like interesting to big pharma, like that research very often goes underfunded or ignored. But now we're seeing the opportunity of like, let's say it's like some underfunded, understudied area, like people that are actually interested or want to see that come to fruition they can make it happen themselves.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot more scientists actually get access to the funding that they need to make it possible through unique protocols like BioProtocol and VitaDAO. And it's a whole online community. It's actually a bit of a rabbit hole, which I've been keeping myself very occupied with over the past while. But I mean, like, back to what you originally said, is like I don't think Web3 or crypto is anywhere near kind of done with what its possibilities are. I think we're just starting to scrape the surface, especially as we start diving into, I guess, more institutional adoption as well, as people start being less afraid of it or it becomes less taboo in some areas. And we realize that it is unstoppable and it will happen. And rather than try and stifle it, let's protect the consumers, but make sure that we leave them to grow.
So I should ask you some predictions, shouldn't I? So if you spend any time on YouTube, you'll think that, Bitcoin is going to become $1 million, yeah, and then XRP is going to be like $10,000. Maybe Ethereum is going to become 50,000.
Maybe I'm always really bad at
Maybe.
I'm bad at price predictions. I don't do much day trading or speculation like that. So I'm probably the worst person to ask. I keep my money in the projects I believe in and then kind of leave it at that.
That was a very politically correct answer.
Let me.
That was a rock, and you flowed around the rock, you see, like water. That's what you did.
Thank you.
Very elegantly. So I mean, I suppose one of the final questions I was going to ask you was about your journey as a founder.
No, I've lost you.
Oh, you haven't lost me.
Hi, we're back.
We're back in the room. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, brilliant.
Now, I was just going to say that one of the questions I was going to ask you about was being a founder, right? Is obviously you're now coming up to your 10th year of being a founder, which is, so a huge journey. For people that are listening to this show, we have a broad spectrum of people who listen to the show. People who are interested in the technology side of it, the story side of it. For you as a founder, what would be your kind of like description of what we call peaks and valleys? So what were the kind of the interesting times where you set out a goal, a mission, and you achieved that, and then what were the things where you didn't quite get there but you learned something about it? Any stories you'd like to share with today's audience?
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's been a journey. There's been multiple times. I'm like being a founder is hard, right? You leave your stable 9 to 5 to work 20. Yeah, I think 10 years you learn to adapt and grow, right? You realize something's not working and you've got to pivot and you've got to pivot fast. I think I realized that my company went from being a startup to a real company when we started hiring people that had kids. Because then I
Right.
was like, oh, okay, now we can't fail anymore because we've got kids to feed. It's no longer just like in the beginning, it's fine because you're kind of just like fucking around. You're kind of doing what you can to make things work. You're doing what interests you. If you have like limited runway, it's okay. But the moment you start actually employing more people and you start taking a more responsible outlook on things, and you start, I mean, like we always wanted to grow. We wanted to be big. We wanted to do amazing things. But for me, what always mattered was the people. And there'd been like a couple of times, actually, in the past 10 years, it's actually been twice, where at the end of a month, I'm like, I actually don't know if we will survive the next month or so. And then by the skin of our teeth, we somehow manage to make a plan, whether it's pivoting or finding an investor or changing how things are done or just like literally damn luck. We've managed to survive every time. And now we've managed to grow and stabilize in such a way that I'm proud of our business models. I'm proud of our team. Our operational efficiency and strategy has been tightened up so fiercely. But I think like taking hard lessons from, and I've done stupid things before. I'm like, let's send the whole team to Bali.
Well, you did that.
We did that. Yeah, we did that in 2017.
That was a great idea.
Oh, it was great. It was great. And I'm like, no, wait, maybe we should have been a little bit more responsible. Yeah. So now we still can like splurge every now and then.
Devon, you can look back in history and go, that was a great business decision.
Dude, I had fun. I had fun.
Well, you had fun, but you also, I can just imagine the employee satisfaction level was like off the chart.
Yeah, it was great. I think we've always had a really good culture in our team. Like we've made a strong effort to hire innovators, change makers, people that are like ready to push the boundaries. I think one of my biggest things as a founder, or like the thing that I hire for the most, is curiosity. Like hiring people that are curious, and myself staying curious about what's going on in the industry, because that's where we learn, that's where we grow, that's where we give a damn enough to actually like change. I think the moment you lose your curiosity in your industry or in your company or what you're doing, it starts to take a downturn because you're not as invested in what you're building. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a testament to running a business for that long, because usually, most startups, don't quite make the grades after up to 3 years, do they? A high percentage don't make past that milestone. So
yeah,
you've trebled it already. Once you get past 10, it'd be like 50 years then next.
I've taken a few breaks in between. So I replaced myself as CEO about 4 years ago. Yeah, replaced myself as CEO, found someone new. We've actually got a new CEO in place now, and she's phenomenal. So I mean, like finding people that I trust to take over so that I can go on my side quest as well. I built another little startup in the meantime. It was a Web3 education platform. Didn't manage to raise more funding for it. Got an initial we raised through CVVC. I went through that accelerator program. It was an amazing learning experience.
I remember this.
And now so that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Fundraising for that was soul crushing. And I needed like a year or so off from it before I could continue working on it. But education is still something that's incredibly important to me. I think it's important to the industry.
Yeah.
And getting that back up and running again, like it's slow moving, but it's definitely like it's never lost priority or passion in my eyes.
Well, I think that's the thing is, the thing about staying curious links to education, links to innovation, links to being flow like water. Yeah, so it's all connected. Well, so a quick question on you said about you passed the mantle of the CEO role, because I know you were CEO before.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? What was the thinking behind it? Was there a particular you got to a certain point in your mindset, or you just felt that you could find somebody that was take it to the next stage, or what happened? What was going on in your head at the time?
Yeah, I think in my head at the time I'd been doing it for about 6 years, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm tired. I am really tired. And I also felt like the person that I handed it off to would be able to take it to the next stage. It ended up being like a shorter term that I was hoping for. And then you see, I believe, has the right values and morals and is ready to really like take it, like to continue it on its current business model. At the same time, having her in as CEO, her name's Jade Bishop. She's really like, she's above and beyond my expectations of kind of what I would expect from her, and her dedication is phenomenal. She's also a new mother, so like I mean like taking into consideration how badass a lot of women in my company are, I'm very proud of kind of like our female leadership and what we've managed to build, especially in this male dominated space. But having her running, like trusting her and like letting her run the helm of this ship now has enabled me to go and innovate in other areas for our business. So like we're building a Linum market maker, we're building Lumina engine, which is
All right.
a ZK dark pool, but it's a little bit more than that, you know? So it's given me the opportunity now to, because I mean, as a founder as well, like I don't want to keep changing a business model that's working, and it is working now, but I want to start innovating in other areas and making us bigger and better and getting us more involved in more trending topics as well. So having the freedom to do that while she's steering the ship is, I think, for me, reassuring, but
Well,
also, yeah.
Well, I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Because it sounds like you're kind of like very fluid, and you want to. And I'm not saying the day to day, but it's like, how do you have that different type of cadence? The cadence you've got is kind of like maybe I wouldn't say scrappy, but maybe you kind of like you're trying to work out the market, you're trying to work out propositions, you're trying to work out new innovations and new things to do, which then eventually could become a new revenue stream or a new opportunity for the actual core business. But you need somebody to kind of run the core business while you're actually doing that other stuff as well. And doing both at the same time is very difficult.
Yeah, it is quite difficult, but the team that we have now is really solid. And the business model works as well. Like that's the thing. Like I don't want to trust something and break it, but at the same time, it's also supporting all of our side quests. And those side quests in return are supporting the business when they take off. So it's kind of become this like really cool symbiotic relationship between exactly. It's really an interesting model. And it allows us to have that stability, but also still to innovate. Like you mentioned, like I guess like I am one of those founders, like I enjoy starting things up and getting them going, but once they're working, I'm like, okay, somebody else can run this. We did it.
Devon, I got that vibe when you were just the words you were using. I got that vibe. Don't worry. Yeah.
I'm like, here, this works. Let's go. Next thing.
No, it's interesting because I suppose that's the thing. But because you're now the COO, aren't you? But then the COO usually would be the person that would do the run and operate, and the CEO would. So it's interesting how you've organised it. But it's I suppose it's playing to the strengths of each individual, and also how you want to operate as it's the personalities as well, and also their backgrounds. What are they most logically lean to?
Yeah.
Is your CEO? Did she have a corporate background, or did she have an innovation background, or did she have a bit of both, or what was
so she actually initially joined us as a project manager 4 years ago.
Right.
So she knows our company in and out. She's put in the hours, she's done the work. Yeah, and I feel like anyone that understands the business model that clearly is like primed and poised to really take over from me. And I think she's significantly more organized than I am as well, which I think is really like quite a plus.
That's impossible, Devon, I'm sure.
I don't even know how like chief of operations, like my current title now, I don't know if that's even like what fits. It's more just that I could still be in the business while she, like, I don't know, like venture studio leader. It just sounds weird. I feel like in startups as well, or even in the company now, I feel like titles are a lot like title costs nothing, you know?
It's what you do. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's
and we
fantastic.
know if you're in Web3, you're going to wear 700 different hats, so you may as well get used to it, you know?
No, I mean, I think it's psychologically, talking to other founders before, passing that kind of, you could say it's a label, or you could say it's a business card or a badge or whatever, on somebody else, is a big transition. But it sounds like you've obviously brought Jade's come up through the ranks, and she's grabbed every kind of challenge that you've thrown at her. And obviously, you obviously get on with her well. Otherwise, she wouldn't still be around. So it's good to know that you kind of you worked out how to coexist, but also move the business forward as well, which is great.
Yeah, no, very much like the kind of like the change in roles responsibilities. Like there was quite like a long handover period as well, and so she's actually only been CEO now for I don't know what month is it, August, 8 months.
Okay.
So yeah, she kind of like she had her baby in November. So I kind of like took over as temporary CEO again for a couple of months at the end of last year, and then she's taken over again now from this year, and kind of like seeing her leadership style and how she's grown the business even from January until now. Like, yeah, no doubts. Very proud.
And also having a newborn as well at the same time.
Yeah, managing to grow the business and have a newborn. This woman is superwoman. I could never. I've got 2 cats, and I'm like, that's enough, and my dog. I'm like, that is enough.
We see she's getting them in early. You see, she has the babies, and then they bring them through as trainees. You see, into Linum Labs. So you can have like a creche in the corner or something like that.
Yeah, I got one of my friends actually. He's a AI and data scientist, and he's already got his his nephew reading quantum science for babies, which I didn't even know existed, or string theory for babies. I'm like, Daniel, you got to stop.
That's a cue. You see, you have to bring out your book. It's like
Yeah,
Web3 and blockchain for babies. There you go. You could be a
yeah.
bestseller.
Let's get this started. One of our developers is building like a website for Web3 and Ethereum learning, like how to get to know educational type platform. But he's doing it all in like Beatrice Potter type style. So I don't know if
Oh,
you ever
really?
read like,
So
yes,
like
it's so
with the
cute.
rabbits, and
Yes,
stuff.
yes, exactly. So he's doing it all kind of in that style. So I'm like, oh great, he's priming the next gen for education wise. There's a lot of cute little educational initiatives like that, I think, out there.
No, but I think the thing is, if you look at the traditional educational, there's quite a few new education companies. Like you probably heard of Scott Galloway's company. I don't know if you heard of that one called Section. So
I haven't actually, no.
no, if you look at Section, I think Section.com. So he came
Hmm.
out. He's like the NYU marketing professor in New York, and he created a new company. But I think there's definitely an element of, if you think about the stuff that you and Linum Labs have been working on and spearheading, is there's a whole new curriculum of education and understanding of foundational topics that you can't get in a traditional educational establishment. It doesn't exist, does it?
Yeah, I think some universities are like trying to integrate a little bit more. The FinTech Masters at UCT has a section on Web3. They have a crypto society. I think a lot of the universities overseas they try and like integrate it a little bit more.
I think there's some stuff in Cyprus. I've seen some stuff in Cyprus. What I'm saying is it's pockets. It's little pockets
Yeah.
of knowledge, and it's not actually in the core curriculum. And if you think
Mm,
about all people that are now, I don't know, in their teenagers right through to their early 20s, there's a key learning period there that they need to be exposed to this stuff, because it's going to be the future of, it's going to be the economical future of the whole world at some point, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty
yeah.
obvious that's the way it's going.
Yeah,
And
I think so. And I mean, like, so even we hire a bunch of developers. Like we always have developers. We're always looking for developers as well. And what we
mm,
found is like a lot of the developers that we hired didn't study computer science or software development at universities. They kind of straight out of school, they were like, I want to learn this, and they self-taught themselves. So like most of the developers we
oh
hire
wow,
are self-taught because it shows that they're curious. It shows that they want to learn. It shows that
mm.
they can do it without instructions. I don't want to have developers that have to handhold at the end of the day. We want the ones that want to figure it out, the ones
And what
that
did, and
are
what and what
curious
did,
enough.
and what did they do? What kind of disciplines did they do? Like chemistry and history and stuff like that. They kind of did more humanities topics or science topics.
No,
What's
not
the
even. So like sometimes they're straight out of school, or they've gone to like a technical university.
wow?
We're seeing a lot younger generations as well starting to code. So like we
Mm,
have kids that have coded since they were like 15, 16. My little cousin's also already starting to code because they're just like learning the logic in games, which we're also seeing a lot,
mm,
even from younger ages, kids are learning the
mm,
logic of coding. And I think that that's also going to become a lot more of a topic because I mean it's a language, right? And it's a
mm.
lot of where the direction is going in the future, and a lot more people are going to need to understand, if nothing else, the logic. Because if we're looking
No,
at like the growth of AI and all of those things, sorry.
yeah, no. I was just going to say. I mean, there's obviously a technical skill, which I think I agree is kind of like
Yeah.
it's a boon. There's only so many. You can't change physics, so there's only so many topics you need to learn. But then I think it's the kind of what I was thinking about also was the financial acumen. So
Yes.
how do you create the financial acumen of the new constructs that are being created with the Web3 and blockchain world, with the distributed, DeFi, for example, things like that. How do you get your head around that? I struggle. I've been worked in banks and industry for many, many decades, and yet, it's still, you still need to research it very, very deeply to work out what it is and what's the same and what's different. So
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying is that I think that your interest and passion in education, I think it's still a very, very valuable, very relevant topic to pioneer and to still push forward, because I think it's needed.
No, definitely. And I think like so it's funny as well because we're seeing younger kids hop into this a lot easier than I think I did, or yeah, because like it's almost native now to them, like gaming tokens, like the token economy, DeFi. I have friends that are Gen Z that, for example, like their first experience with trading or investing was in crypto tokens as opposed to the stock market because there were no barriers to entry. You know, they didn't have to go and KYC or do any of the things that you generally have to do to invest into a stock market. So for them, crypto trading is their native way of doing it. So the fact that the stock market closes in the evenings, they're like, what on, that makes no sense to me. So it's just like this different way of thinking that we're starting to like pick up. And like, because a lot of the people that are like the younger people that have worked in my company as well, they have never worked in a corporate space. So the fact that we've been fully remote since day one and they come to work in their pajamas every day, that is their norm, you know?
So the app downloads are not the banking app. It's like CoinGecko, basically.
Yes, exactly. Finance apps, the MetaMasks, you know, that's now native to my team, which is funny as well. Because like when I started on my education, Web3 is actually when I started the education app, and when we started alpha testing it with a lot of people, the content, I sent through my first like blockchain 101 to people, and I realized how far back I actually had to go. So we talk in acronyms. We most of the time AMMs, RWAs, like all of these things that we just use every day because it's our language, ERC20s, you know, like they're just like, what on earth are you talking about? Exactly. So then I realized like how much we actually have to take a step back so we can start from there.
Well, yeah, because it's like a new lexicon, isn't it? It's a new lexicon. You could actually create a lexicon of many pages of a document. No, it's true, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, I remember when I was working back in that crypto space, you know, quite a few years ago in custody. And they'd just be in a meeting, they go, can we just like, hold on a second, time out. Yeah. And they were all banking people, but they'd obviously all then converted into this, you know, this new cool crypto space. And, you know, I mean, some of the calls I had, you know, you'd have like a high net worth in Switzerland talking to a high net worth in Costa Rica. It was all like, you know, well, I need a hot wallet and I need to make sure my wife has, you know, like, what they call it? They call it, you know, when you have to have the dual sig, you know, the dual signing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about that kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff. This is like 6 years ago. So it's incredible. I think when I was there, I didn't realize how early it was. I mean, it's not
that
early,
is early. I mean, like doing.
It's not like 2010, but it's, you know, it's like you now realize how much things have moved forward in the last 5 or 6 years, and obviously it's accelerating from here. So it's incredible.
Exactly. Multi 6 years ago was early. Most companies or people didn't even know what really that was, or like how to do that with Web3 at all. So I mean, I think we something like you and I, like we've been in the space for a while. A lot of this stuff that's second nature to us is still completely foreign. Signing transactions, like people are like, what on earth is this? You know, until this UX actually becomes more under the radar, I think a lot of people are still going to be confused. They're like, I don't want to download a wallet to do this thing or to sign this thing, or what does that even mean?
Yeah, quite amazing. Well, you see, what we could do is go back to the physical, you know, sticks, and that we put them in the mountain in Switzerland. You know, maybe that's the way. It's going to go full circle, Devon. It's going to go. It's going to go back to that.
We're going full circle. I'm storing pieces of paper on a vault in my bank. You know.
Just put in a
straight back to the banks.
Yeah, post-it note on the fridge. Then you'll be all right. You know,
exactly.
The seed phrase on the fridge.
Oh my gosh, under my pillow.
Well, no, so I was just going to say thank you for coming on the show today. You threw a lot more acronyms at me than I thought, and I'll obviously have to research.
I'm so sorry.
I'll research them afterwards. But I was going to say, if you've got any links that you want to share that you think would be useful for me to publish with the episode, you know, it'd be great. We can talk about after the show and to work out how we can share the knowledge. You know, share the love across the world with this this phenomenon. And all I would say is, hi Ten, and I celebrate and congratulate you on what you've done with Linum Labs. Thank you for doing what you're doing, because I think it's important. You know, you've been incredibly resilient in this crazy world that we live in, and kept on the mission. You know, and it's a testament to what you've been doing. And I'm really glad that everything's still going well. The world is going to be your oyster. It's going to be like Switzerland, Abu Dhabi, you know, Singapore, Cape Town, all the nice locations.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, like this journey has been wild, and I think like something that I say often is like there's only two emotions when you're running your own company: euphoria and terror, sometimes at the same time.
What a brilliant quote. That's brilliant.
Yeah, right. I think it's from one of the founders in a book that I read, but it's like it is so true. It is so true. Yeah, and I
Wow.
mean to try and maintain a calm in the chaos or a calm in the storm, I
Mm.
think that is like the true signal, being able to adapt quickly, being able to like pivot my whole company with me and convince them that this is a good idea. You know, there's all of these like steps to it, and I do believe in this technology. I believe it's incredibly interesting. I'm so sorry for throwing so many acronyms at you. I think sometimes I don't
No,
even
it's okay. It's
realize
okay. It's okay.
that
It's
I'm
okay.
doing it.
It's okay.
But
I
yeah,
did
if
understand.
anyone does want to,
I did understand some of them.
if anyone wants to learn more, if anyone's curious, like you're welcome to reach out on any of the platforms. I'd love to share a link about Lumina Engine, which is what we're building now that I'm like so stoked about. Yeah, I'll share out some links to Linum as well. We're
Yeah.
always open to reaching out, so you can join our Telegram if you want to chat to our team directly.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Well, you see, I was just thinking you should have the Lumen or Lunum Labs.
I know it's confusing. We have Linum Labs and Lumina Engine.
Well, you should. Because it's all the L's, isn't it? You should have a lexicon. You could publish a lexicon, because that's the
That'd
thing
be
is,
cool.
it's like the TLAs and FLAs, and then that would be, then you could, Devon is powering the lexicon. There you go. Boom. No,
That'd be cool.
thank you for being so open as well about that. Those questions about your transition as well, because I think that I think everybody can learn from that, and I just love that thing, terror and euphoria.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You like euphoria on the outside and then terror on the inside. Is that what you're going to say?
Never let them know. Never let them know.
Always keep a straight face or smile.
Exactly.
Well, that's been Devon Krantz, who is founder and now COO, but previously CEO of her business down in South Africa, named Cape Town. And that's been Andrew Turner, founder and host of the G&T Sessions podcast. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Have a good day.
No problem.